Hey, how's it, Cowboy Boss here? How you doing? Uh, all right. So the free agency legal tampering is out there. Um, you know, I'm not. There's so much Cowboys that talk about this kind of stuff, and like you almost know word for word they're gonna say already. So that's why I kind of like this held off. But um, I know there's some deals made, and and stuff like that. So probably that's why. Like for me, it's like I learned this about Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and all that. If they say that the rumor mill is, oh, of course we would love to have a modern team. That means to me that they're just trying to make it relevant, something to people to talk about. Um, if they really wanted to make a trade, this is how they'll say it. We want to make our cornerbacks the most dominant cornerback tandem out there. We want to solidify our offensive line. A great offensive line does it. That they're specific when they want to do something. They may not say the player, but they'll say something specific and all that to the position. Um, like one thing I do believe is that I do believe that we have a core enough players right now that I still believe you build through the draft. You do all this through the draft and all that kind of stuff. You try to resign your own and all that, and then but then once you get the core, then you can bring in those big names and all that. Other than that, those free agencies is more like this to fill up the things that you couldn't in the draft or something that was lacking. And all that, like, oh man, this is our and the guy we drafted is, we need a safety net and all that. So that's the thing, and everything. You build for depth to the draft, and I mean you build for depth in the free agency. But then if you get a chance where when your core of your team is solid, then you can go bring that war daddy or whatever kind of things that you want to say. And I do believe we do have that. And unfortunately, the one guy I wanted to target was Deron Payne. That's not happening. so, so it is what it is. Yeah, going back to the trade talks, I'm over the wide receiver trades and all that, to be perfectly honest. But I do listen to Simons a lot, and the only one that makes sense to me is Mike Evans. Mike Evans is like if we joke around about the Noah Brown thing, like he's an excellent blocker. Well, Mike Evans has always been a great blocker. But the things that he does provide is that he still can get down the field, still make those big catches. Not every pass needs to be perfect and all that. And he's a tough guy as well too. So yeah, that's the guy. D Hop, if it happens, it happens. If not, I'm not gonna cry. The only biggest one's not probably gonna happen is the Stefan Diggs one, but it's fun to listen to. And the only reason why I'm having fun with it is because, like, hey Trayvon, you wanna your extension coming up. You want your brother? You gotta help us out too. So that's the only thing. But I'm not nah. I mean, cause I just over the whole trade talks. That's because Joey Galloway, wrong place, wrong time, wrong deal. And I like the player, but there's just that Roy Williams. No, I hated it. That's the one I absolutely hated and all that. Amari Cooper was just the end result. This didn't wasn't there and all that. So yeah. Um, as far as like our free agency goes, I know the only thing is like I don't like about the Tony Pollard tagging is that you with his injury coming off and although like I refuse to believe still yet that the running game isn't important. Like it can be a weapon and all that. Does it need to be prioritized? No, I mean it all depends. I mean, you look at the Eagles; they're in the Super Bowl. They were in the Super Bowl. They were one of the best running games and all that. Look at the Chiefs. They even though people like to talk Mahomes and all, and yes, you got Pacheco in the late rounds and all that, but he still was a very productive player for them, and they were able to run the ball better with that and all that. So it's very important and all that. But going back to Pollard, coming off his injury and all that, I don't think that teams was gonna line up and go, we gotta get him and all that. They could have worked out the whole deal and all that kind of stuff. And this is where one of those things that Jerry Jones likes to make a smoke screen like goes. well, at least we can keep the Cowboys fans happy that we are attempting something and everything like that. So it is what it is with that one. Dalton Schultz, I know he turned us down, so and to be perfectly honest, I'm not saying that he's a dime a dozen. I just think what the expectation, like for him to be that second playmaker guy, I don't think is there. I think he's more of a third option where he's a security blanket and all that, the possession receiver and all that. We use Jay Novacek as the security blanket, but Jay Novacek was a much more big playmaker than Schultz was, and also Witten was a much more bigger playmaker than what Schultz was and all that. So yeah. Um, we lost McGovern. I would have liked to kept him, but you know, because you never can have too much offensive alignment and all that. Yeah, the guy I do think I really want to sign is Donovan Wilson, just because I think what he does for the team, blitzing, supporting against the run, always around the ball at the right time. That's the reason why and all that. Anthony Brown, I think of Kevin Smith a lot of times. He just wasn't the same after the Achilles injury. It is what it is with that. So, I like him more than other players, but like I, they're not gonna resign him. I mean, unless they're like, there's nothing out there, and and the Cowboys haven't, Cowboys just not liking their roster or their depth chart. Hey, come back, So yeah, Javon Curse, he has to make the decision. Like, like he he did more than what his contract was asking for when he signed with us and all that. So if he wants more money, good. Well, hope you do well and all that kind of stuff. Thank you. Have a good time. Um, but then he has to realize too, like, hey, Dan Quinn made you your role, and that's what made you be noticed. Like going, man, look at the Cowboys. They signed him. From the Minnesota Vikings. He was virtually doing nothing there, and now they found because Dan Quinn found him the role and all that. So yeah, the biggest one that's like probably like the most talked about is LVE. I like the kid. I know people accuse me of hating on him and all that. I just had other players that I like better than him. I met him in person. He's a nice guy, and all that. So it's not like I do like the player and all that. It's just I think of too much Sean Lee every time. And is that his fault or not? Not all of it, no. But there's been signs though. There's been areas where it's like Sean Lee again. It's Sean Lee again, and all that. So it's more like other than that, no. Um, then I know we freed up 30 million with Zach Martin. I think it was Dak the other one and all that. Whatever they did, they found ways to you know free up to 30 million. I'm not gonna. I don't follow every little nook and cranny and all that. Um, but yeah, so we got $30 million and I don't know freed up. Um, the Tyron Smith thing is interesting because like man, if they gotta move on from him, they gotta move on. But if like they find a contract that is good for, that's okay enough for him that he wants to live with, because he said that he's not gonna play with nobody else. It is what it is with that. And but if they can, like, hey, well, let's go. Not there yet. Ball, well, probably not. um, so we always talk about you cannot have enough offensive linemen. He could be that swing tackle that every year people talk about swing tackle, swing tackle. He could be that guy. He does, and there's some things during the game because he can play both sides. He can probably move Terrence Steele to tight end, and Terrence Steele caught a touchdown pass one time. If you want to make an absolute power game, you can move, you can make an unbalanced line and move put Tyron Smith tight end and move have that unbalanced side where Tyler Smith say playing on the inside. So yeah, and all that. So like as long as he can give us 3, 4, maybe 5 games, I'm great. You know, because that's what he's good for now for anyway. So if we find something that's what the expectation is, then that's what it is, and all that. So yeah, and then finally Zeke. Everybody knows I'm a huge fan of Zeke. If they got it, the June thing sounds like probably the most. If nothing can get worked out to him to take that pay cut, that's the one I think they're gonna cut later on, not right now, and all that. So just to save the most money they can out of it, and all that. So yeah, if he does accept the pay cut, this is the only thing I'm kind of like maybe thinking about. I'll change him to a fullback. I know Mike McCarthy has had fullbacks before, so hey, put him at fullback. He's one of the best blocking backs out there. Put him at fullback. Some of my favorite plays from him is the screen passes. Put him at fullback. He's still short yardage. Put him at fullback, and all that. So yeah, that's what I'll do. And then it's not like he's gonna be an exclusive fullback. You can kind of, if you want to take Pollard out of the game or whoever we got in the backfield, you can put him back there, and then he can still do something and all that. So yeah, that's what it is. All right, that's my video. I hope it is not a long video. All right, mahalo for watching. Paniala boys, who you with? You know who I'm with? I'm with the Dallas Cowboys.